Imagine building a 2-story wooden horse under cover of darkness, with no power tools and your nosy enemies snoozing 10 feet away. Sounds like the ultimate episode of Extreme Makeover, Ancient Siege Edition. Legend says the Greeks whipped up the Trojan horse in a single sneaky night. Sure, and maybe Odysseus also invented energy drinks. The reality? Crafting a gigantic hollow equine, big enough to stash burly warriors and their secret snack stash, wasn't an overnight DIY project, especially with 0 midnight Home Depot runs. Experts reckon it would have taken days, maybe a whole week, to wrestle that much lumber into shape. And let's be honest, ancient woodworking wasn't exactly a silent affair. If the Greeks had Twitter, someone would have live-tweeted a hammer dropping at 2 a.m., and kaboom, mission blown. The truth? The overnight miracle is pure theatrical flair. The real deal probably involved prefabricated bits, late-night assembly, frantic improvisation, and a chorus of shh. But hey, history loves a tight deadline and a good story. Despite its rapid construction, the horse quickly became trusted by the Trojans as a sincere gift. Imagine getting a colossal wooden horse as a gift from your mortal enemies. What could possibly go wrong? Troy, worn down by a decade of relentless Greek nagging, wakes one morning to find a gigantic equine sculpture parked outside its city gates, like an ancient Amazon Prime delivery gone wildly off-script. According to legend, every Trojan cheerfully bought this oversized timber as a peace offering. Reality check. The town was split. Half sniffed a rat, or rather, Spartan, and the other half just wanted the siege to end already. Enter Cassandra and Laocoon, the ultimate party crashers of antiquity. Cassandra cried, "It's a trap!" and was promptly treated like background noise. Meanwhile, Laocoon got the divine silent treatment, violent sea serpent demise courtesy of the gods. But after 10 years of non-stop war, hope, plus some godly meddling, had everyone slipping on rose-tinted goggles. Let's be clear, letting shady gifts inside enemy walls wasn't Troy's hallmark move. Yet accepting this equine exception was basically like clicking a free virus scan link from notorious hackers. Once the gate swung open, disaster followed. Warranty absolutely not included. Yet it was Odysseus who alone conceived this cunning plan. Was Odysseus truly the lone mastermind behind the world's most famous equine caper, or just the Trojan horse's PR-savvy frontman? Popular lore crowns him the Steve Jobs of ancient trickery. One guy, one brilliant plan, and a lot of wood. But Homer, Virgil, and their classical crew paint a messier picture. Their tales read more like a Greek family reunion, with Athena whispering divine tips, and fellow warriors like Menelaus and Diomedes elbowing in for a piece of the glory pie. Let's face it, if Odysseus had a patent office, half of Greece would be lining up to claim co-inventor status. Maybe the real title was Greek Squad Project Horse, but Odysseus just looked better on the cover. The punchline? Hero worship loves a solo star, but history and epic poetry runs on teamwork. Turns out, behind every legendary wooden horse is an even bigger group chat. What seemed like a brilliant idea was, in truth, a desperate last-ditch effort. When it comes to Plan Bs, few can top this gem. Let's invent the horse. Early humans, tired of wolves hogging the partnership game and cattle camping out on prime pastures, decided it was their turn for some classy commuting. Before the horse came along, they auditioned every animal. Woolly mammoths? Too sluggish and insanely fuzzy. Deer? Great at escapology, but lousy as pack mules. Then came the horse, the original four-legged rocket and it's a huge if you could actually catch one. Now the myth. Humans gazed at horses and immediately plotted continental conquest. Reality. For a good long while, horses just looked like dinner on hooves, until someone, desperate for speed, and even more desperate to save their tired feet, took the plunge. Domestication was less a fairy tale and more an extreme sport, turning many an aspiring cowboy into a certified ouch boy. But patience, and maybe a fair share of frustration, won the day. Taming these jittery speedsters revolutionized travel, farming, and warfare. History's biggest, whoa, that actually worked, and humanity's best excuse to ditch walking shoes. Strap in. The horse wasn't just a plan B, it was the ride of a lifetime. Most did not anticipate that such a bold gamble would actually succeed. Imagine a giant wooden horse parked outside your city walls, Would you really think, hey, let's roll that right in? Come on, everyone knew the Greeks were sneakier than a dodgy Wi-Fi signal, and this gift was basically the Uber XL of sketchy deliveries. Yet the Trojans, battle-hardened veterans, suddenly forgot all about stranger danger. Debates raged. Optimists swore it was a peace offering. Cynics said it resembled the world's largest IKEA project, missing parts and definitely no Allen key. Of course, village skeptics flashed big red flags, but peer pressure and nosy curiosity, plus a total shrug of their city's homeowners association rules, won out. If only the horse had come with a user manual. Step 1. Do not bring inside. Priests and prophets yelled, "Don't do it!" But whoever listens to the IT department, right? By sunrise, Troy had a shiny new centerpiece and an insurance claim that was never, ever getting approved. The original phishing scam of ancient times. And yes, it came in wood grain. In the end, the horse concealed the entire Greek army inside. The Greeks really outdid themselves with history's worst birthday surprise, a giant wooden horse stuffed with sweaty soldiers. Imagine the scene. Trojans wake up to find an oversized horse casually parked outside their city gates. Suspicious? You'd think so. But when the Greeks stage a dramatic "we surrender" exit, delivering the ancient world's first sorry, not sorry improv act, the Trojans can't help but celebrate early. Of course, Laocoon warns, beware Greeks bearing gifts, and Cassandra gives that classic eye-roll-worthy "I told you so" vibe. But peer pressure wins gold here, and their warnings get ignored with Olympic-level skill. Convinced they've nailed it, the Trojans wheel the horse inside, probably thinking they just scored the ultimate rustic lawn ornament. If only the horse came with a manual, step 1 would read, "Do not bring indoors." Night falls, the horse's belly doors swing open, and Greek soldiers spill out like a surprise party nobody wanted, unlocking the gates for the waiting army outside. The Trojans? They perfect the phrase, "It's what's inside that counts," and instantly regret it. Moral of the story. Not every gift deserves a thank you note. Sometimes it's best to just say, "No thanks." The Trojans, unsuspecting, brought the horse within their walls without scrutiny. Picture this. A giant wooden horse, smelling like it just rolled off the lumberyard assembly line, lumbers up to your city gates. Instead of poking it with a stick or calling pest control, the entire city throws a parade. In the mythic retelling, thanks for the flair, Virgil, the Trojans end a decade-long siege by wheeling in this gift without so much as a sniff test, channeling the blind trust of someone clicking "accept cookies" on their first pop-up ad. Ancient sources love painting the Trojans as the original gullibility gurus, but the truth is stickier. Warnings were everywhere. Cassandra and Laocoon basically screamed, "Don't do it!" But popular lore favors the "no inspection, all vibes" storyline. Some historians even argue the wooden horse was poetic jargon for a battering ram or a sneaky underground entrance, not a giant equine piñata stuffed with doom. Let's give the Trojans some credit. Suspicion wasn't extinct, especially given the Greeks' shady resume. Maybe if Troy had a neighborhood watch, the only thing inside those walls would have been a strongly worded complaint about unauthorized curbside horses. Interestingly, Helen was not involved in the horse's secret entry. Was Helen of Troy masterminding the Trojan horse caper from the shadows, or just out shopping for sandals during the whole fiasco? Picture Helen, the ultimate femme fatale, slyly orchestrating the Greeks' colossal wooden surprise, expertly convincing the Trojans with villainous flair. Some later storytellers, seemingly eager to beef up Helen's resume, grant her starring roles. Voice mimicking, secret signals, maybe even customer support for wooden horse setup. But let's hit pause and check the original owner's manual. In Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, Helen is neither mastermind nor covert ops director. The real scheming genius was Odysseus, while Helen's war day activities were decidedly horseless. Sure, later auteurs like Apollodorus and Virgil staged her near the action, but she's more bystander than Bond villain. What's the deal? Greek dramatists wanted Helen as a bold operator, but her ancient press coverage keeps her firmly on the sidelines of equestrian espionage. So Helen exits the siege with her sandals spotless. No heavy lifting or Trojan horse user manuals required. Over time, the story of the horse has come to be viewed as purely mythological. Forget everything Hollywood taught you about giant wooden ponies rolling into Troy. No, Achilles wasn't moonlighting as a traffic cop. guiding a colossal horse on wheels. Though wouldn't that be a sight? Pop culture loves to portray the Trojan horse as some ancient cocktail of battering ram and parade float. But history's rearview mirror is foggier than that. Ancient Greek poets spun tales about this marvel, but not because it actually crashed through any gates. No battle report from the era includes assembly instructions or leftover splinters. Archaeologists at Troy have found as many wooden horse skeletons as you'd find in your backyard, unless your neighbor doubles as a medieval carpenter. The earliest historical accounts? They treat the horse story as either a suspiciously entertaining fable or pure allegory, a nod to sneaky tactics rather than ancient woodworking skills. Most historians agree Trojan horse meant trickery, not DIY. Nowadays, the only Trojan horses you'll spot launch pop-up ads, not soldiers. No mythic hardware, just a legendary headache. Its construction was admired more for beauty than for deceptive purposes. What do you get when you mix Greek brawn, wooden craftsmanship, and a wildly questionable gift-giving strategy? The world's most infamous piece of furniture, the Trojan horse. Forget stealth bombers. When the Greeks wanted to conquer Troy, they did it with a tasteful equestrian centerpiece and a side of subterfuge so slick it would make HGTV weep with envy. People say, built for beauty, not deception, like it's the tagline for shampoo. But for the Trojans, looks truly were lethal. The Greeks, ever the connoisseurs, made sure their surprise inside looked as elegant as a marble statue with six-pack abs. The myth claims the horse was a gift to Athena, goddess of wisdom, and borderline gullibility. A wooden wonder so dazzling the Trojans wheeled it straight home. No interior inspections, no, what's that funny smell? Just pure, wide-eyed admiration. While most military gear screams, "Fear me," this warfare showpiece coyly whispered, "Don't I look fabulous in your citadel? Who needs a battering ram when you have the world's first weapon of mass distraction?" Extreme Makeover, City Destroyer Edition, pilot episode, brought to you by Gullibility and Greek Carpentry. The craftsman Epius, who built the horse, remains a minor figure in the tale. When you think Trojan horse, you probably picture daring warriors with wild hair and razor-sharp wits, not the ancient Greek equivalent of a hardware store clerk. Yet it was Epius, not the famously crafty Odysseus, who built history's most legendary flat-pack fiasco. Poor Epius. History gave him a cameo, even though without his carpentry skills the Greeks would have been stuck outside Troy, grumbling, "Does anyone have an Allen wrench?" Despite crafting the sneakiest ride in the ancient world, Epius is basically the best boy of the Iliad, a shadowy figure banished to scholarly footnotes. Sure, Virgil's Aeneid throws him a minor shout-out, but no ticker-tape parade. Myth loves brains and brawn, but tends to ghost those wielding saws and hammers. Ironically, without Epius, there's no horse, no epic sack of Troy. So next time you marvel at Greek strategy, spare a thought for the unsung builders, forever upstaged by guys with swords and PR departments. Despite Cassandra's prophetic warnings, her voice was disregarded without cause. Ever had that sinking feeling that no one listens to you, even when you're absolutely right? Welcome to Cassandra's Daily Grind. Picture this. Apollo himself drops you a prophecy superpower. Sounds dazzling until you read the fine print. Yes, you see the future. No one, not a soul, will ever take you seriously. It's the no refunds, no exceptions deal of the millennium. Every time disaster looms, like, say, an ominously massive wooden horse lounging outside your city gates, Cassandra flashes the warning signs. "Don't open those gates," she begs. The Trojans? They roll their eyes, mutter about over-the-top drama, and apparently believe Greek carpentry stands for welcome gift. If Cassandra lived today, she'd be the one shouting "fire" in a crowded theater, only to have everyone ask, "Cool story, but when does the movie start?" Her flawless forecasts earn her more pity than props. She's the OG, boy who cried wolf, except she's telling the truth, and definitely not a boy. Classic ancient groupthink in full swing. By the time Troy's in ashes, everyone suddenly remembers Cassandra's warnings. Just a little too late for "my bad." And so, her story lives on as the ultimate "I told you so," echoing through history every time someone gets ignored and disaster strikes. Ultimately, the horse's significance is confined to Homer's narrative. Forget epic battles. The true celebrity of Troy isn't a warrior, but a slyly sculpted horse. Most folks credit the Trojan horse as the game changer in ancient warfare, but the reality begs to differ. Believe it or not, the original trickster carpentry doesn't even prance through Homer's Iliad. It sneaks in much later, thanks to Virgil's Aeneid. Apparently, ancient literature needed a plot twist, so the horse only trots into Troy's downfall once the writers demanded a shocking finale. On actual Bronze Age battlefields, horses pulled chariots or gave noblemen a chance to flaunt their shiny helmets. No hollow wood needed. Yet the horse's legend went viral back then. The OG meme of antiquity, cropping up in art, poetry, and questionable souvenirs. Archaeologists keep digging for this equine enigma, but all they've unearthed are splinters and massive letdowns. Bottom line, the Trojan horse's fame rests more on storytelling than solid timber. If only the Trojans had an ancient antivirus, maybe their inbox wouldn't have been so epically hacked. Within this story, Athena played a limited, hands-off role. Did Athena guide Odysseus, or was she just his secret cheerleader with a Wi-Fi connection? Popular myth has it she was basically riding shotgun, GPS in hand, barking directions whenever Odysseus veered towards Scylla instead of Starbucks. But let's myth bust. Athena wasn't a backseat sailor. Most of the time, she let Odysseus steer his own epic messes, dropping in only when things truly spiraled, like a guidance counselor booking check-ins after major meltdowns, not a helicopter hovering over every homework assignment. If Athena had a LinkedIn profile, her subtle motivation endorsement would outshine anyone in Olympus. Sure, she might send a helpful breeze or a crafty disguise, but most of Odysseus's sticky situations were solved by his own noodle power, not just divine Wi-Fi. Her style was like having an ultra-influential friend, great to text in emergencies, but rarely grabbing the wheel. This watch-and-nudge approach let Odysseus actually show off his smarts, rather than just cruise on Athena's celestial coattails. The arrival of the horse brought an immediate end to the war. Imagine if all wars ended not with peace treaties, but with prank gifts. Instead of diplomats in suits, we'd have pranksters lurking behind oversized birthday cards. The Greeks, masters of mischief, gifted the Trojans their peace offering. A wooden horse so big it likely violated every zoning law in Troy. According to legend, the moment this wooden behemoth rolled through the gates, the city crowned itself champion and threw the ancient equivalent of a raucous housewarming bash. Spoiler alert, the party playlist desperately needed a track called "Don't Trust Suspicious Furniture." Contrary to the cheerful myth, the war didn't end with a sigh of relief. The Greeks inside waited patiently until the Trojans finished their last goblet, then climbed out at midnight to unleash some very unfestive chaos. No instant surrender, no fade to black, just a city getting wrecked while Cassandra and Laocoon grumbled, "I told you so," into the cold night air. Moral of the story: if someone hands you a giant decorative object, maybe give it a good shake before inviting it in for the night. Yet surprisingly, no lasting lessons have been drawn from the horse today. Remember when everyone tried to extract business secrets from horses? Well, it's time to let Secretariat trot off into the sunset. Sure, folks love mining leadership lessons from anything with 4 legs and a glossy mane. There's a comforting fantasy that your next quarterly report just needs more gallop and less trot. At least according to those books claiming your CEO's spirit animal is 1 carrot away from greatness. Here's the kicker. Horses really only care about grass, sprinting, and dodging the mortal threat of plastic bags. Their top business tip? Don't trip. Sound advice, yes, but hardly a blueprint for market disruption. Real companies aren't built on motivational nays, unless your startup is secretly a carrot farm in distress. And let's be honest, Silicon Valley's unicorns might be mythical, but actual horses are easy to find at any petting zoo, looking utterly uninterested in IPOS. If a horse tries to offer stock tips, it's just angling for another handful of oats. So stop horsing around. Maybe consult a human, preferably one who's traded hay for hard-earned experience and actual revenue.